sure we can all agree. It is hard to go a day without using the internet. In fact, much of how we communicate is through networks or platforms including email, messaging apps, texting, and social media. The ease of access and instant communication provides all of us with many benefits and opportunities such as the ability for people to connect on a global scale, access to educational tools, opportunities for ideas to spread, and possibilities for the world to connect and grow. However, such growth in technology does not come without its challenges. When students attend school, sports clubs, or church, they learn how to interact with their peers in person. This includes how to be fair, respectful, trustworthy, and caring towards others. One of the challenging questions I have as a mother and as a First Lady is how these interpersonal lessons can translate into our digital world. Today's technology provides people with a digital shield to hide behind, and being anonymous often takes the place of being caring and responsible, which can lead to children and adults feeling empowered to be unkind and at times cruel. I'm so glad that organizations such as the Family Online Safety Institute can gather children and technology companies together to answer one vital question. How can we teach our children not just the importance of online safety, but the need for online responsibility? Be Best is dedicated to shining a light on programs that address this very question. Teaching children the importance of being safe and positive online is crucial to creating a better future for the next generation. We must give children the tools needed for success at a very young age, and this includes helping them grasp online responsibility and the importance of their overall well-being in the online world. As I have said before, it is not news or surprising to me that critics and the media have chosen to ridicule me for speaking out on this issue, and that's okay. I remain committed to tackling this topic because it will provide a better world for our children. And I hope that, like I do, you will consider using their negative words as motivation to do all you can to bring awareness and understanding about responsible online behavior. In my time as First Lady, I have been lucky to meet many bright children, teens, and young adults who are taking leadership roles in online safety and responsibility among their peers. Earlier this summer, I met with students who are a part of Microsoft's Council for Digital Good, a platform designed to allow students to demonstrate their individual expressions of what it means to be civil in this digital age. Their projects were not just impressive. They have the capacity to create real impact, and I'm so pleased to share the stage with a few of them today. They're our future leaders, and I applaud them for taking action and for the work they have done in promoting positive social media use. Please join me in applauding these amazing young adults. And with that, I'd like to begin the discussion and hear more about what these talented students have to share with all of us today. Thank you all, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we on?
Thank you very much, Mrs. Trump, for those excellent opening remarks. It's very good to see you again. I enjoyed the roundtable we had and the Rose Garden event. Really appreciate your commitment to this. So we're going to ask each of our wonderful, wonderful panelists to introduce themselves, say who you are, where you're from, and maybe something we should know about you. Tricia, do you want to start?
Yeah, good afternoon. Mrs. Trump, thank you so much for those amazing remarks. I'm absolutely honored to be able to be here. My name is Tricia Prabhu. I'm 18 years old. I'm from Naperville, Illinois, but I currently reside in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where I'm an undergraduate student at Harvard University. Something interesting about me, and something that's really vital to the reason that I'm on this stage today, is that I am a social entrepreneur, and I'm focused on making the internet a safer place for our children. So for me, my focus is creating digital solutions to try to stop cyberbullying before the damage is done. In my youth, I was bullied and cyberbullied. It had a profound impact on me. And I think that this is an initiative that is really important, that we need to focus our attention on. So when I was 13 and read the story of Rebecca Sedgwick, an 11-year-old girl who took her own life after being cyberbullied, I decided that I didn't want to be a bystander. I wanted to be an upstander.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Judah?
My name is Judah. I'm 14 years old. I'm in the 8th grade. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. And one interesting thing about me is that I don't have social media or a smartphone. I actually just got my very first flip phone, and it's been great. But that's the main thing about me and how I'm going to, stand up in this digital age. Just preaching the message of, you don't really need all that to be included in friendships and be included in your school.
Thanks very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Christina Woodrow. I'm 17 years old from Atlanta, Georgia. And so for me, definitely growing up, I had an older brother, and so I was always a big gamer. And since I was like 7-year-old, I was always on the PC, that sort of thing. And so I definitely had some own personal experiences that kind of led me to be here today. And I'm just really excited to share the stage with all of you guys and just talk about these issues. So thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Bronte Johnson. I'm 18 years old. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. And kind of like what Christina said, growing up, I've always been a really big gamer, PC games, Xbox, PlayStation, the whole 9 yards. And technology has always been a really big part of my life. So I'm happy to have served on the council and to continue to do stuff like this.
Do you want to start with some questions?
Yes. Well, fantastic, and nice to see you, some of you, and nice to meet you. I just want to know what inspired you in your community that you started with anti-bullying and social media.
So like I mentioned, when I was 10 or 11, I started receiving messages on my phone and on social media, and some of them targeted really basic things like my hair or my clothes, but some of them went as far to attack my family and to say really rude things about me, and just felt very alienated in my own community, in a place that was supposed to support me. And so for a very long time, I wanted to hide my voice. I didn't want to talk about what had happened to me. I wanted to forget it, like most victims of bullying and cyberbullying. But when I read this story of this young girl who took her own life after being cyberbullied for 1.5 years, and then I started to do more research and realize just how much of an impact this issue has on teenagers, I really realized that there was an impetus for action, and that as a teenager, as someone who had been through the experience myself, I had a unique perspective that I could bring to the table. And so that's really how I got started.
Yeah. And then for me, actually my parents started an organization called Parents Who Fight, and they were reaching out to parents to help those parents' kids. And that really kind of sparked me applying for the Council for Digital Good with Microsoft. And that really just kind of sparked my decision in caring for other people and how to protect them online. And really, just through that, I was so inspired by the rest of the people on the council, and they drove me. They've driven me to go to amazing efforts to speak at my parents' presentations, and really also, like she said, just my unique perspective of not having a smartphone or social media, being offline but still connected with others. I've used that platform to reach parents and let them know that their kids don't really need a smartphone when they're 12, and they don't really need social media.
Definitely for me, I feel like I had more traditional experiences, and that when I was in elementary school, I heard the classic like talks from counselors and my parents, like don't say anything that you wouldn't say in front of your grandmother, and those kinds of lessons. But a lot of times that doesn't really resonate with kids much, except when I was in 5th grade, we had a guest speaker come, and she basically gave one of those presentations. But at that time, in all my PC gaming, I actually had an experience that her stories kind of resonated, and I was like, oh shoot, maybe I am doing some of these things I really shouldn't be doing. And so the fact that it resonated with me, but I noticed that it didn't resonate with anyone around me, I definitely felt like as I grew older that I wanted to maybe turn the tables a bit and talk to adults as a kid and say like, hey, maybe you can reach more people in this way. So that was definitely my drive for joining the council and this kind of work.
Yeah, in elementary school, I stayed with the class that I'm now graduating this year with, but when I first was in elementary school, you would always see your classmates, and you'd meet a friend, and you'd be like, oh, let's be friends, and you'd stick with this person all throughout. But there was always this one person that it'd be silent, like a silent little conversation we would have between each other, but we would always pick out someone who would always be the outsider, and it would always be like this throughout every grade level you'd go through. And so growing up, I would always notice this, and when I heard about the Council for Digital Good, I thought, maybe this is an opportunity to change that, finding someone who's that outsider and making them feel like an outsider all throughout high school. So that's kind of why I'm here. I want to push for that change.
Great. And how you reaching out to other anti-bullying? How you reach out? Do you go through social media? Do you have a special conferences, smaller ones? So how you reach out to the other peers?
So the way that I do that is I currently am a full-time student, but I also run a company that's focused on solving cyberbullying. So when I was 10, I started getting really interested in technology and coding, and so I learned to code at the age of 10. And when I first kind of hit on this issue, I thought, well, why don't we use technology to solve a problem that technology has created? So I actually ended up developing an app that's called Rethink. And what it does is when you're on a phone or on your social media and you try to post something offensive like, go kill yourself, or why are you still alive? The app is actually able to detect that that message is offensive, and then it gives teens a second chance to think about what they're doing. So like, hold on, are you sure that you want to post that message? It could be offensive. And we find that over 93% of the time, when teens have that second chance to think about what they're doing, they change their mind and decide not to post an offensive message on social media. So since we've released and launched over the last 3 years, we've touched 5.5 million students in the United States and 1,400 schools internationally. So we've become this big social movement about having teens think twice before they say things online, because every word matters.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
And for me, obviously not as great as being an app developer, but using my platform and Parents Who Fight, just really what I believe in is reaching parents will reach the kids ultimately, and by reaching out to parents in my community and through my parents organization, it'll just reach their kids in much more of a way. And also if the parents, they're taking charge as the parent, it will help to influence their kids in such a way. I really believe that improving online connections, the way you do that is by improving real life connections. And that's just the basic thing that I believe.
For me, it was definitely, I went back to my roots. So the little presentation I talked about, I actually had the opportunity last year after having gone to our first council event in Redmond 2 summers ago. I kind of just mulled over all this information, and I went back to my former elementary school and I gave a presentation to parents, kind of just a conglomeration of all the resources that I obtained from my Microsoft experiences and just talking about what I had learned. And so I conducted like some baby research there, and I was just curious about how prepared parents felt and if they would share what they learned with others. So that was kind of what I did. And then after our event this past summer, actually, I met a woman who was a cyberbullying expert who lives in my area. And so I worked with her doing a couple talks, and then I've also been doing some blogging on my own. So it's kind of just been some progressive stuff that I've really enjoyed.
Kind of just finding specific programs in my high school. It's kind of what I've been focusing on. At my high school specifically, we have a program called the Green Dot program, and this is where we bring kids around the high school into we had it in our library, and we talked about how we can start spreading positivity, start being nicer online, and just changing the way we are and leaving our digital footprint. And so by participating in programs like these and bringing the word of the council to the programs like what I just said, I feel can make a really big difference.
That's great. And how would you say your peers and your friends, they react positive to it? They have a hard time? What you would say, how that translates to them?
I feel as if when we were initially sitting down at the table, we were talking about how when you're saying don't be mean online or don't be a bully online, it can be uncool to say, and you're not really well liked if you say that stuff. But I feel as if it's really important to be that person, to put your foot down, and it all starts with one person that can spread to 2 people, then 3, then 10, then on and on and on and on. So.
Yeah, and to build off what Bronte said, definitely at my school, when I first explained exactly what I was doing with Microsoft, people were like, is that really necessary? Like, that's needed? And that sort of thing. And so definitely, however, the more I talk to them and the more I actually try to engage in conversation with them, people gradually open up to it. And I think it's really important that, like Bronte said, even if it's like originally uncool, someone needs to step up and say something. I think we've all been doing that pretty well.
Yeah, and then also in that, by standing up, we're deciding that we're not going to let people decide who we are and what we get to be. We decide what we want to stand up for. That's been a big thing for me. If someone says something like, someone says something negative about me, I'll say, have a good day, I like your shirt. Actually, in 4th grade, I would say that to people. There was I'm not going to say his name, but anyway, there was a kid, and I just had to say to him, hey, I like your shirt. Being nice to people when they're being mean back to you has such a greater effect than you can even realize. And then that works the same way on an online space. Whenever people are saying, you should stop doing this. Why are you, speaking out for, against online bullying? You kind of just have to say, hey, you're cool.
It's always great to turn negativity to positivity.
Yeah.
So I encourage that everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we're nearly out of time, but I do want to check in with you all because I know 3 of you have been here all day. Tricia, you got here about halfway through. We released some research this morning, Mrs. Trump, called Online Safety Across the Generations, and we asked parents and we asked seniors their views, their issues and concerns. And one of the things we asked parents was how good of a digital role model they were to their own kids. How can we parents do better as digital role models? Anybody can respond.
Go for it. Okay. Well, actually, right after the presentation, me, Judah, and Bronte, we were all talking about it. And definitely, we thought it was really cool to see in perspective the whole across the generations. But we did feel like, I guess, since seniors and parents as the sandwich generation could go to kids, we were wondering, but where do the kids go? And so that was our initial reaction. And we were definitely thinking that just adults definitely engaging and showing that they are interested in what we're up to and being there as a support system as well. It's like a mutual interdependency. And so definitely I think for parents, just showing that you are engaged is the biggest thing.
Yeah, no, if I were to speak to that, just in my experience meeting with parents and talking to them, something that I've noticed is parents tend to be afraid of social media. There's this fear, Twitter, Facebook, how is it going to impact my child? And what I say is, if you're afraid about it, go learn something about it. I think it's two things. One, it's educating yourself, about social media, about what your teens can experience on social media, and what kind of an impact it can have on them. I think the second thing is making yourself a resource. I know so many kids who feel like they can't talk to their parents about social media or about their experiences at school, being bullied, or about cyberbullying experiences. And I think starting at a young age and making it clear to your children that I'm someone that you can always come and talk to about these things is really important, especially when we see statistics that 75 to 90% of 13 to 18-year-olds say they don't feel comfortable telling their parents about bullying and cyberbullying experiences. And that's one of the most critical avenues to stopping that hate.
And then also on that, there's so much power as a parent to your kids by taking your phone and putting it down and talking to them. And by engaging your kids, it's going to mean so much to them. They won't even realize it right away. But once they start to realize my mom or my dad is putting their phone down, the thing that they're on all the time, to talk to me, that's going to mean so much to them, like levels. And even when my mom talks to me every day, I know that I can, talk to her about things that are deep, personal things in my life, and personal questions I have. So yeah, just by engaging with your kids, you'll create that deeper relationship.
And just letting them know that you're there for them. I went to a breakout session, and I forget who said it, but they said kind of talk to them and keep it short. Don't lecture them, but keep your conversation short. So you can say, here, I'm going to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to talk to you about A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know what I mean? So if you keep the conversation short, to the point, say, hey, I'm here if you ever need to talk, and without that fear of being in trouble or getting yelled at or anything to that nature, I feel like you can really relate to your child and be on the same level.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all so much. We've run out of time already, but please join me in thanking this fantastic panel. So I just want to conclude. I want to thank you, Mrs. Trump, once again for your focus and your work on the BBAS campaign. We were absolutely delighted when you chose that, and we will continue to work with you and your staff as you roll that campaign out. I also want to repeat something I said at the White House, which is that we need to work together to apply the golden rule, treating each other as we wish to be treated in our digital lives. So the golden rule transfers to the online world as well as from the online world to the physical world. So this brings us to the end of FOSI 2018. I would once again like to thank our corporate and foundation sponsors, without whom this would not have been possible, to our amazing speakers and panelists and moderators and exhibitors, and every one of you who have made these conversations so rich and engaging. I want to thank the staff here at the USIP, by the way. Fantastic food, fantastic all the way through the day in spite of the weather. We nearly didn't get here on time, but luckily the government didn't delay us, so thank you for that. And I'm going to embarrass them by asking the FOSI staff to put their hands up, and the volunteers, and a big round of applause for the FOSI team. You would not believe how brilliant these people are to work with every day and the miracles that they pull off. And this is one of the miracles you're looking at right now. And finally, a big, big thank you to all of you. This community has grown and grown. We started with just a handful of companies and a handful of NGOs in 2007 when we launched FOSI. And now look at us. And look at us around the globe. And that's what I really loved about the discussions today, how many folks have traveled so many great distances to be here today. So thank you for that. Please, please take what you have seen and what you have heard today and spread it like these guys, far and wide in both your personal and in your professional lives. And join us again next year as we continue to build a culture of responsibility online. And I'll just, one final piece of housekeeping. This was my last piece of housekeeping. If you all could just remain in your seats for a few moments while we clear the stage, and then the voice of God will come through and let you know that the reception will be on. So thank you all very much, and see you next year.